Hello, everyone. Today we are back with another exciting podcast, and today we are not going to talk about a typical clinical aspect of dentistry. Instead, a rather niche topic of saliva. It is an honor to introduce Dr. Gargi Roy Goswami, a pioneer in saliva diagnostics and dental genetics. As the founder of the Indian Academy for Clinical and Dental Genetics and the International Saliva Summit of India, Dr. Gargi has dedicated her career for establishing saliva as a powerful diagnostic tool for early disease detection and personalized care. A renowned researcher and a serial entrepreneur, she joins us today to discuss the future of diagnostic innovation in modern dentistry. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Gargi, one more time. So, are you ready for the first question for the day, Dr. Gargi?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Thank you for the
Now,
invite and thank you for the generous introduction.
my pleasure, Dr. Gargi. So, most people think that saliva is just spit. So, can you elaborate, please, what it is actually doing inside our mouth, inside our body, that we, as a layperson, we don't really know much about it. Can you elaborate? Can you give your inputs on that, please?
Okay, that's a favorite question. First of all,
Right.
to answer it in one sentence, I would say that saliva is mirror of the body. Just like we see our face in a mirror. So saliva is the mirror of the body because whatever components what we have in blood, like for example, we use different parameters to check any disease condition with blood, like we do blood tests, we measure certain
Right.
molecules. So whatever is there in blood, everything is there in saliva. Well, there are pluses and minuses that we can talk later, but that's why it's called mirror of the body. And
Right.
what it does, it is, I think, would be another episode of discussion, but just to quickly put it out, saliva is something like, if I may say, that it is water to a plant, or rather
Okay.
fish, water to a fish. So
Right.
so without saliva, nothing starts in our body in terms of whether it is digestion, whether it's about protection, because it's the first line of defense where it comes into action. Also, if you see in terms of our homeostasis, that means it is about the regulation of body temperature. So if you see that if you go to higher altitudes, you might feel dryness in the mouth more. So
Right. Right.
that's why it's a very important component. And not only that, in terms of dental, in terms of our mouth per se, we all know that it it actually is a protective mechanism. It protects from many
Absolutely.
infections. It lubricates. It helps the whatever we are eating. It helps into form that help that complex food break down into simpler form. And of course, speech. So
Right.
there are a lot of aspects to it. So as I said, its functions would be a very big thing to discuss. But yeah, um, and I personally love to describe saliva in a little different way. And how we can understand more about it is almost like making a chai. So if you make chai with tea leaves, so what we do, we boil water, we put chai patti,
Right.
not the milk one, and then we get a filtrate. So basically
Right.
we get all the flavors that the leaves were having, right? So same thing, in the same way, it's a filtrate, is the ultra filtrate. If I say it's a filtrate of the blood, that's where the speciality as a fluid or biofluid of saliva comes. That's where
Mhm.
we say that it carries all the information that is there in the blood, is there in the saliva. So yeah, so that would be my answer to your question.
Interesting. Wonderful. So, can saliva really tell us about the diseases beyond the mouth, like diabetes or even oral cancer or cancer for any other part of the body as well, or even stress for that matter? Can saliva really
Yes,
tell us more
very
about
much.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we need to understand one thing, that what we measure. So if you see in any blood test also today, whatever we have in, so let's say, take the commonest example of diabetes. So what we do, we go to labs or people come, they take blood, and what they measure in blood, they measure certain molecules in blood, right? So it's glucose molecules we know, and so there is certain limit from where we know, okay, if this is within the range, then we are not diabetic. If it is above, then it is diabetic, and whatever. So same thing happens with saliva. So as I said, that all molecules, which in scientific terminology, if I have to put it across, it's called biomarkers. So
Right.
all the biomarkers, like for example, you talked about stress. So for stress, one of the most common biomarker is a hormone, which is a stress hormone, which is cortisol. So we can measure
Absolutely.
the stress level, yeah, by just taking collecting saliva and just measuring out the salivary cortisol. So as I said, these things are very much possible, and not only disease diagnostics, the power of saliva comes in early diagnosis, because
Right.
I'm not sure if you have heard, like during COVID, what was the major problem is that we were not able to identify who were people were asymptomatic, but they were the people who were spreading. So basically, they were the carriers of the COVID virus.
Right.
So right, so that time, until unless we're doing the testing, that means the virus has already spread and all. Why I'm bringing this
Right.
context, because this is the common thing that we have all faced and we have come across through that phase. So what happened was, the first viral load, even if there is no symptom in the body, nothing of COVID, it could have been found in saliva. So that's the power. So
Oh,
even if it is, yeah, so that's the power of saliva. In terms of COVID, there are a lot of other things that we can speak about, but this is something which all we knew. So just that time, if you have seen that lot of tests got approved in emergency basis, right? So, and saliva tests were one of the most common tests that were approved, because there's a lot of advantage in that, easy to collect. It is there's no problem like of storage as such, or those kind of meticulous procedures need not be followed. You don't need any specialist to collect saliva, like phlebotomist who collects
right.
blood. Yeah. So that's where the role of saliva comes. So the things that are present in blood, the molecules that we measure in blood, we can measure equally in saliva. Yes, but I will not make a claim here, because there are certain challenges with saliva. For example, certain molecules, as we can understand, that's why I gave you the example of the chai ka example. It's an ultra
Right.
filter. It's a filter. So we lose out some amount of molecules. So, for example, if a molecule is 10x present in blood, it might be, say, present in saliva, but it might be in lesser quantity. Maybe it is 2x present in saliva. That is the
Right.
difference. That is one challenge. Second challenge becomes like, sometimes certain molecules are more stable in blood versus they are less stable in saliva. But again, that differs. So that's
Right.
where, when it comes to diagnostics of disease, it's not only about the power of saliva comes in early diagnosis, and also from saliva we can collect anything: DNA, RNA, exosome, any biochemical molecules that we were talking about, like for example the glucose. Everything we can collect, and we can assess them. So that gives us a lot and lot of power that way. Yeah.
Think so. Now that you're saying that saliva is such a powerful tool for the purpose of diagnosis, why saliva testing becomes so common and so, the way blood testing is? I mean,
Okay. So basically, there are two aspects. As I said, the first aspect is the technical or the scientific thing. As first thing is, there are certain things we still are researching. I'm talking in a global perspective, not only specifically India, as a whole, as a saliva world, if I may put it right. So there are a lot of things when it comes to the stability of the molecule. That is one technical challenge that is there. So what could be quickly established or validated in blood, probably the stability would be lesser. So in that case, we need to figure out a lot of things in terms of, because the test has to be specific, the test has to be sensitive. So that is a challenge. Second very big challenge is a mindset. So, so it's a mindset challenge because whenever something, again, I may say that saliva is not new science. Saliva is
Right,
almost
right.
40 years old science. Yes. So
Okay.
as a science, it exists, but yes, it is growing and it has grown a lot. And now we have lot of commercial tests coming into the market in different aspects like neurodegenerative diseases, cancer, addiction biology, environmental toxicity, in fields of sports medicine. So there are a lot of things. In India, we are still quite, I won't say lagging back or something, but I think we need to be a little more faster in
It's
terms
still
of
still in
getting.
the
Yeah,
nascent stage, probably what you're trying to say.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
All
not
right.
nascent. I would
Okay.
say that one good thing happened with saliva with COVID is that people started recognizing this biofluid because
Okay.
if I just push away the challenges are there in everything. But if we see in a broader perspective, collection of as a sample of testing, right? As a sample, if you see, irrespective of the age, even if it is a neonate till a geriatric patient, even that patient, if his person is not well, so in any age range, collection is not a challenge at all. Secondly, it is inexpensive. It is very, very cost effective method. And
Right,
also
right.
transportation, you don't need any specialist. It is amazing. So why it is not getting adapted? It will. Nowadays, I see that lot of young minds particularly is seeing into this field. A lot of startups are coming up in India as well who are
Okay.
trying to get into this space, and they are doing wonderful work. I think a lot of work is happening in the field of early diagnosis of cancer, then
Mhm.
diabetes. Well, I am not sure exactly if there is something very validated at this point coming out in the market as a commercial product, but many are. I think it's just matter of time. We will see tests plunging in the Indian market as well. But in the West, there's a lot
Okay.
that has happened, and of course, that we can do more by bringing those technologies here with collaborations. That is very much possible. So I am very I always feel very bright and fine when it comes to seeing saliva as a diagnostic medium, and particularly since you are a dentist and I'm talking on a dental podcast, I think
Mhm.
more dentists get into understanding this. That's going to make a revolution because we are the people who are very closely dealing with the mouth day in and
Of
day out
course.
and we it's not only about just seeing the biofluid. We can assess many things as a from the clinician's eye just by seeing the biophysical properties of saliva. For example, the viscosity, the color, the consistency. So all these things are just clinician's eye, so it speaks a lot. It's just that we need to get trained how to decipher what those information are throwing, I mean, what the body is throwing to us. So I think it's just a matter of time. Yeah.
Right. Great. So now we know that our everyday daily habits definitely impact our health, like the food that we eat, the stress that we are going through nowadays, our everyday habits. So how do these habits, they silently change our saliva, which eventually impacts our health?
Very good question and very favorite question of mine. So
Okay.
here I will not make it elaborate because as it's a vast area to talk. I'll
Right.
give you a very simple example which we experience, all of us experience, but we don't notice it, and we don't know if even if we notice it, we don't know what is it. So for example, if you I'm not sure if you're a non-veg, I'm a non-veg. So if you eat non-veg or if you eat sugar, anything which is sweet or something, you will after some time feel dehydrated. You feel like
Right.
drinking something. If you
Right.
eat something which is more fatty in terms of say pizza or say biryani, so where there is oily stuff more, you will feel kind of little dehydrated. You want some drink along with it, right? So what is happening here? The saliva is getting reduced. The body is giving
Mhm.
some kind of information, and if we could really measure, which I have done for myself, if you could really measure the pH, the pH indicates, it's not a definitive diagnostics, but it indicates a lot of things. So people who have GI problems or who might have GI problems, if they see pH, if they record their pH of saliva before and after meal, they will see a pattern. There
Okay.
will be a pattern. And understanding that pattern, like if I'm seeing, okay, this is the range of pH, it is changing in so and so time. If I meticulously, observe that and note it down, I will see a pattern. And when
Okay.
I see the pattern, I can understand, okay, something is not wrong. I don't know what, but something is not wrong. So basically, if you see, our body is fantastic machine. It
Mhm.
has fantastic alert mechanisms. Just like fever is not a disease, it's just an alert from the body.
It's
Because
a
if we have
symptom.
fever,
Yes. Yeah.
we will just go. It's a defense mechanism, I would say. So
Right.
similarly, if there is dehydration more, I gave the example of food because it is easy to understand. So suddenly, if you see that after some, for no reason you are feeling more dehydrated, you're sleeping, but you are waking up very, very dehydrated, as if your tongue is touching. So it might not have happened to you before. It
Hmm.
might have started suddenly happening, but generally, usually we don't notice these things. So these are
Hmm.
signals
Okay.
from that the body is giving us. And if, of course, that is through saliva. Because if we can understand the small small things, I'm not telling that we will discover that we have one disease sitting at home doing nothing, not going to the doctor. But what I'm trying to say, this is an indication, this is an alert. Okay, see,
It's a
it's not
wake up
something
call. Yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
You need to do something about it. So that's where things become very interesting. Also, if you
Oh.
see that when you if you are doing exercises, if you are into fitness, if you are walking, you feel very good. And if you notice very carefully, when we walk, I'm not talking about like normal relaxed walk, like a brisk walking. If we do, you will your salivary secretion has a timing. So you
Okay.
you will always feel thirsty at a certain interval of time. So that
Okay.
means you need to have water, right? So you cannot get
Right.
dehydrated. You cannot fall off just running here and there. So what? So basically, if I just tell you, okay, Dr. Anmol, go and drink water every 3-4 hours and all those things. Yeah, Gargi, I'll do that. So, but you'll forget, right?
Yeah.
You will not notice it. But body is constantly giving us. So why it is so important? What I'm telling, why it is so important? Because many cases happens that people just faint, or there's an electrolyte imbalance. We don't realize sometimes. We don't
Right. Right.
understand why it is happening. I'm eating food in my house. I'm not eating outside or whatever. But electrolyte imbalance can happen for many reasons. So how I will take my water, it is not about some, I'm sorry, but in social media today, with health and food, it has become another pandemic, I would say, or infodemic, I call it. It's so much of information. So it's not about how much to drink. It is about what your body needs, because we are all different, we are all individual. If you need 3-4 liters of water, I might not need, I might need less, I might need more, depends, right?
Right.
So we can notice this kind of patterns. If basically, if we know, if we learn that what my body is telling to me, if I know how to decipher that information, then it becomes, I can do small small things even before going to the doctor. So that is where the importance of noticing the salivary secretions, noticing basically the environment of our mouth is very, very important.
So, do you think this saliva testing would soon materialize into a home testing kind of a thing, the way we test our blood sugar at home with the strips, the glucose strips or something like that? Do you think we would reach that stage in the near future where people would start testing their own saliva and probably get information out of it?
Yeah, definitely. It is not future anymore. It is happening. So
All
during
right.
this, there are two things in this. One type of testing where you just need to collect the saliva and send it across the lab, because when we are, extracting DNA, RNA, or those kind of biomolecules, where we need a lab setup, and what we are trying to see, that depends on what we are trying to see, and we collect that biomarker and do the downstream processing and do the testing, right? So it's all about collecting it, and giving it away to the people who will do the test for you. And what you are talking about is called as primarily, that is called as lateral flow assay. That is just like pregnancy
Hmm.
test kit, and this has already happened
Exactly.
during COVID times. Lot of tests got approved. Those are all point of care testing or lateral flow test, and just like pregnancy test kit. So those are home care, home, at home tests, which are very very
Do it
easy.
yourself. Yeah.
Do it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is very easy to handle, because as I said, no expertise is required, nothing big experiment, I mean instrument is required for this. So I think this industry is growing, and there's a lot of, it's a very very growing market in terms of, if I say product market or diagnostic market. Definitely point of care is something which is happening all over the world in terms of at least, yeah, when we are talking saliva, yes. So saliva diagnostics point of care market is a very big market. Yeah.
Okay. And do you think the regular pathology labs are well equipped to handle the saliva testing around us, or do we need special lab support for these kind of things?
No, it's all about what molecule we are. If it because if we are talking about DNA RNA, it goes to genetic testing type of a thing.
Right,
That
right, right.
any lab who are already equipped with molecular testing platforms, they will be easily able to do it. So that is it's just that it's a different bio fluid. We can do that from urine, we can do that from sweat, we can do that from blood. We are already doing that. So it depends on what we are measuring. So actually, there
Okay.
is no specialized requirement. If some existing labs who are having, I think some of the labs have already started giving saliva testing in certain molecules, probably cortisol, if I'm not wrong. But then we need to understand what and how. But there are labs which have already started doing it, and also there is a difference. Like I am collecting the swab or the whole saliva, or unstimulated saliva, stimulated saliva. So there are a lot of uh, things in that. Depending on
Okay.
that, we need to understand. But as you ask, there is no special setup required. Whoever
Okay.
has the capability to, rather it is easier to test saliva than
Blood.
testing
Yeah.
blood at certain points.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let's talk about your upcoming book. I love the title, Mouth Mirror, a very apt title. So, my question to you is, what inspired you to write this book, and when do you expect, when do we expect this book to be released, to be available for the general public? And
Okay.
what is your message that you're probably trying to send forth to the common people through this book? Can you elaborate a little bit
Sure,
in brief?
sure. And thank you so much for asking this question. I think this is the first platform, public platform, where I'm speaking about my book. So it's still in progress. So the entire concept of this book is to me become an enabler for people. As I said, that
Okay.
I was just talking, like before you asked me, I was talking that, we can check the pH, we can understand this, we can check, or we can notice how our salivary flow is happening. But for it's not about layman or medical people or dental people like that. But as a human, if we can understand certain signals from the body and do something about it at our own personal level, not doing extremes, being in normal thing, and then we decipher certain information so that we now know what should be the next steps, because this helps in many ways. One, we just don't go. In India we have this habit, we just go to the pharmacy and we just take pills just like that,
Right.
right? So
Absolutely.
so we don't need to trouble ourselves with chemicals. So the entire uh, book message, for this is for general public actually. So
Mhm.
here what I am trying to do is to give power to people, where they can understand the science in a very simple way, first thing.
Mhm.
Second thing, particularly chronic diseases I have focused on, and about the early detection or early understanding that something is wrong in my body, what is that, and what I can do. So basically it is more like a workbook concept, where
Mhm.
you read a chapter, there will be certain kind of tests or questions that you can take, and you can yourself analyze the whatever the results are, because that's how the book is structured. And then the next steps, like what else you can do. So should you start walking? Should you not eat this? Should you not eat that? Or is it a point now it is very much necessary that, or you are late to visit your dentist or visit your physician? So that's why I think I want, through this book, through this knowledge, I want to make people powerful, so that we understand ourselves in a more holistic way, and we don't delay. Because I know you are a clinician, you are dealing patients day in and day out, and particularly as dentists, we are so helpless when we see the oral cancer coming in hand. We always feel, oh,
Absolutely.
if they could have come before, perhaps I could have done something, right?
Right,
So
right.
pre-malignant is so rampant nowadays, and it is increasing only. So these things, certain things, my entire idea is to make people aware, so that they become more aware about their health, not just on information, just gobbling it from the social media or AI stuff and all. Because I think our body is made in such a way. I'm a God believer, so I would say that God has made in such a way that it is extreme. It is more than protocols. There is defense mechanisms. There is alert systems. So we need to understand that first. If we can understand that, probably we lead a better life. And of course, through this book, it will be a guide to people, where they know now that when to visit a dentist, when to visit a physician. Should I sit
Right.
back and listen some more things, and do this person is telling it that this person is telling don't eat
I
so
know.
much, so is it correct? Should I go to a dietitian or nutritionist? So it's something, my entire approach is to actually give a wholesome knowledge, because that is all I have that I can share. And I have just tried to comprehend it in a way, so that it is very easy to understand, and it is not a textbook, it is not a storybook, but it is a book for my own self, I mean to say, for person who would be taking it up. It's more like a homework assignment book, I would say. So that's the whole thing. And yes, I am intending to publish it. I mean the copy should be in hand, I'm hoping, if I'm not getting a writer's block or not being lazy, then by December 2026,
Oh,
I hope
nice.
I can get the copy in
Great.
hand. Yeah, that's my target.
Great. Wonderful having you and wonderful chatting with you, Dr. Gargi. I strongly believe that today's session is going to be a very, very informative one for our viewers and listeners. Thank you once again, and best wishes from our side for your book. See you soon. Talk to you soon again. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your invitation. It was pleasure talking to you, and all the best for your podcast.